Thank you, Chairman Langevin, and thank you to Dr. Schmidt and particularly Commissioner Clyburn and all the commissioners for your excellent work. Before I get to my question, I have to address what probably should be the headline of this hearing, Representative Grothman's comments that somehow that the smartest immigrants are going to Australia and New Zealand, and we're not getting the smartest immigrants. I have a number of comments, but I guess I, just for educational purposes, maybe Dr. Schmidt, could you comment on the intelligence of Sergey Brin and Satya Nadella and Eric Yuan? And I don't see Australia and New Zealand having produced all these tech companies. I mean, how would you characterize the quote unquote intelligence of immigrants coming to the United States?
America has benefited enormously from high skills immigration. I have personally been the beneficiaries of the companies that I have been working for. We're founded by such people, and they're incredibly brilliant. We need them to drive our tech sector. We need to create wealth in our stock market. We need them to help pay the taxes for our government. I can go on and on about the quality of immigration. At one point, I was sitting at Google, and I realized half the people in the senior executives were immigrants, many of them from Southern Asia.
You know, the other thing I think I understood Congressman Grothman to be saying is that we should have some kind of math and science requirement for immigrants. I think the American public would love to have a math and science requirement for members of Congress. I think that would probably be a better start. I would challenge Congressman Grothman, maybe you and I can take a math and science test and have some of our immigrants also take a hypothetical test. And my guess is I wouldn't be surprised what the results are. I hope you'll take me up on that. But what do the commissioners think of the idea of having a math or science test for immigrants? I don't understand. Did Madison or Jefferson put that in the Constitution that we should have math scores for who we should let into this country? Would any of the commissioners please comment on that statement?
I'm happy to answer at least a part of it. The particular line of questioning around having science and technology skills for our recommended visas for anybody with a degree in S&T is pretty straightforward. I don't think any of us are advocating that we should have a generic test like the way you had to pass the other immigration examination on American citizenship or any other kinds of activities. But we need science and technology skills, and that is clear. We are not going to be competitive without that talent. We need to grow them internally. We need to get them from outside. And we need to encourage people who are educated in this country by our very best universities, both public and private, to allow them to practice their knowledge in the United States and not abroad.
Absolutely, I agree with that. But just to be clear, you could clearly disagree with Representative Grothman's suggestion that somehow we should have a math or science requirement for our immigrants.
I don't believe that was the question I was answering.
I'm saying you would disagree with his statement on that, correct? And the commission would. I don't think anyone in America, a reasonable person, thinks we should have requirements for immigrants to take math and science tests.
Yeah, in the excessive clarity, the report does not make a claim in this area. And so speaking for the commission does not take a position on this. We have said repeatedly, high skills immigration in our nation is very important.
And let me just change directions because I was just so struck by those comments of Representative Grothman. I thought they had to be addressed. But let me ask the final question, which is on AI, and a two-part question. One, it seems to me that it's in our country's advantage to move towards forms of AI that aren't reliant simply on data. And when you look at some of the work Jeff Hawkins has done on how the human mind works in terms of maps of reference, and you look at Tenenbaum at MIT and what he's being able to do, saying, a child doesn't need thousands of pictures to understand what a cat is, but understanding how categories of human perception work, that it would be valuable for the United States to invest in that kind of general learning AI so that we're not dependent on data, because China will have a huge advantage over data. If you could address that, and then second, address what it means for us to have human judgment still and human control, so that the defense decisions are not being just made by algorithmic AI, but by people really still having human judgment over that.
Quick answer to the first part, Bob. You'll take the second part. You're exactly right that right now these algorithms need an enormous amount of data. There's very promising research about much more limited data training models, and I think eventually this issue around data will become less important, and the rise of this next generation of algorithms that you have suggested will be the story. It's crucially important that this next generation of algorithms get invented in the United States. Bob?
DARPA describes AI coming in 3 waves. The first wave was what it refers to as expert systems. These are physics-based models that are quite capable, but they have now been supplanted by second-wave systems, which are statistical machine learning. There are a lot of applications still for first-wave systems. So I would agree with you that there will be applications that just are physics-based models or rules-based models, if then. They're very, very good to explain, like if you had a safety accident, you can go back through the coding and say, this is exactly what caused the accident. And in machine learning, sometimes we won't know exactly why the algorithm chose the action that it did. As far as defense decisions, the clearest expression that I can offer you, sir, is DODD, Department of Defense Directive 3000.09, for example, that says, for weapons with autonomous functionalities, they will be designed and operated to maintain appropriate human judgment over the use of force. Period. End of story. The DoD Law of War Manual says you cannot transfer responsibility to machine under any circumstances. So in my view, the Department of Defense has been very clear that when it comes to decisions over human life, that will always be a human making those decisions. We also make a clear recommendation that we should declare that machines will never, ever be given the authority to order a preemptive nuclear strike. The use of nuclear weapons should be off the table, and we should enter in discussions with all of our rivals to see if everyone would agree with that.